all straightforward. But after the last question, we'll just do like a Q and A. A Q&A after the last question.
Yeah.
Is your phone on airplane mode?
Not yet.
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready. Alright, what's your name?
Yo, bro, you didn't even hit me with the action?
Yeah, you're recording, bro. What's your name?
My name's Ralph D. Quebec.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. How's your day been today?
It's outstanding.
We'll just get straight into the questions. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood?
I grew up in Wilmington, California. Kind of like a dysfunctional family. I had a loving mom. Pops was gone. I had 2 sisters. A really close family. I had nothing but aunts. Just sisters. My mom only had sisters. I eventually had a stepdad come into my life, and he kind of like took over the male role in my family. And then but yeah, I just remember, my mom always loving me, my mom always supporting me, my family always supported me. And I played football in high school. Yeah, and I love sports. So
When you were a child, what were your dreams?
I wanted to be a firefighter. And that's why I joined the Marines. I thought I was going to be a firefighter in the Marines.
Can you tell me about your relationship with your dad, and how did he make you feel? It can be the relationship with your biological father and how he made you feel, and then it could be the relationship with your stepdad and how he made you feel.
We're just going to jump right into it. Well, I'm going to start off with my stepdad first. I think his role in my life was pivotal. And he taught me a lot of things. He didn't talk a whole lot. And he didn't show a whole lot of emotion. And so, being an adult now, that's kind of hard to get across without knowing how to talk and show emotion as a man. So that was rough. But he did instill like a lot of discipline into me. He did show me that with a lot of hard work that I can just do about anything. And so my relationship with my father now, is just, I love him to death. Like, if I didn't have him, I don't know where I would have been. I could have been, when I was a kid, I thought he was an asshole, and I thought he just wanted to mess with me, make me clean up my room, take out the trash. All he did was yell and stuff like that. So it was like, it wasn't what I thought it was supposed to be like.
Yeah.
And then as an adult now, though, I look at it, and it's like, I'm glad I had someone like that in my life that could tell me that it wasn't right and that I can learn it. You know what I mean?
While you were growing up in that situation as a kid, how did you feel?
Man, I'm growing up in that situation. I was like, man, I thought I was a good kid. Had good grades. I didn't hang out with my friends a whole lot. That was mainly because I was always in trouble. And so I remember trying to fight my dad when I was little.
Yeah.
One time, like, I was probably like 14 years old, maybe not even.
Would it make you feel angry?
I was just so mad. I was like, yo, why are you always in my shit? And I just remember like I had probably been playing football for like a year, so I was like, oh, I'm on the weights. Dad ain't gonna tell me anything. And I remember like I got up in his face. I was like, just leave me alone. I just remember getting put down on the couch. He didn't hit me or anything. He just put me on the couch. He was like, just stop. Just stop. Just let it all out. And then that was it. But and now my relationship with my actual father. I actually got that started back up, I guess I can say. Like, we get to see each other every now and then. You know, I have a sister and two brothers from his side that I got to meet. They all have they each have a daughter, so I have three nieces. And that side of that family is like, it's like I feel connected with them even though I wasn't even with them, you know, my whole life. But we go out, we hang out, and it's like I'm looking at myself.
How did it feel growing up, the lack of a relationship with your biological father?
Man, you know, I grew up with a chip on my shoulder, a huge chip on my shoulder. And I just always thought I wasn't good enough for my dad. And like I said, you know, being a kid, you know, I'm doing everything right. I think I'm doing everything right. I'm not a bad kid. And I just remember not having my dad in my life and being angry and, you know, just being upset. And then I just kind of grew this mentality that if he doesn't want to be a part of my life, then I don't need to be a part of his life. I don't need him in my life. And that chip kind of carried on into my life in general, whenever I feel a relationship with anyone is kind of like that, where they kind of pull away. I'm like, well, if you're going to pull away, I'm going to pull away. And then it's like, fuck it, I don't need them either. So it's been beneficial in my situation because I've been able to do a lot of things with that mentality, but I've also lost a lot of relationships that if I probably tried a little bit harder, they would have worked out.
What about your relationship with your mom?
I think my relationship with my mom is like, she's like my everything, you know what I mean? So her work ethic is admirable. Like her love, her unconditional love, even her rage, like when she gets mad, like there's something loving about it. I just remember like growing up and getting her mad and her flinging like a slipper and then shaking her face like hella aggressive. And I'm over there like scared as shit, but I'm like, yo, that's my mom. Like, I love her. But I don't have like a daily relationship with my mother. Like, I don't call her all the time. Like, we probably talk to each other like once a week, but I know that she loves me. She knows that I love her. I'm like her golden child. I was the oldest kid, you know, the oldest boy out of the three. So I feel like I had my childhood was a lot rougher than all of my sisters. And she knows that, I know that. So that relationship is also, you know, bonded through that. You know, I was the person she learned how to be a mother with. You know what I mean? So my siblings were all 7 years apart. So she had me for 7 years at 18 years old. And she had to learn how to be a mom until she was 25. And then she had the other kid. She had my sister. So our relationship is, I wish it was better. I honestly do, but the way my mom is, she's very, how would I describe it? Like she's really reserved. You know what I mean? So she's not gonna exactly tell you how you feel, how she feels. She might not even tell you. She might not even say how she feels. Um, and so again, with communication with the father, they didn't talk a lot. You know, and a mom that, you know, expressed love but didn't express anything to me, at least, that I felt like I didn't know. Um, I never really talked to my mom about other things. Like, you know, some people say I could tell my mom anything. I'm like, well, there's some things I don't want to tell my mom. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of like the relationship I have with her. But I know I would die for my mom. I know she would do whatever she needed to do for me. In all my times of need, she was there. Any sporting events that I had, she was there. I remember being a little kid and, you know, wanting the new Emmitt Smiths. You know, I grew up a Cowboys fan and just remember like wanting these shoes. That was the first pair of shoes that I ever got. They were really nice, over $100. And I remember her just cutting away, working multiple jobs, and finally getting these shoes and thinking like, damn, like mom's the man. You know what I mean? And so I've always had that admiration for her.
What would be the feeling that you mostly had growing up with her as a child and then now as an adult?
Anything's possible. From as a kid to now, like with hard work, you can do anything, and she embodies that. She drives 2 hours to work, 2 hours from work every day. And like I said, that's unreal. So to have an example like that, it's like, how can you not do well, Ralph?
From your mom, your stepdad, and your biological dad, what did you learn from them?
Man, I'm 36 now and I'm still learning. So for my mom, I just learned what unconditional love was. No matter what situation I was in, whether good or bad, mom just always loved me. As far as my stepdad, my father, I learned, you know, like what it meant to be disciplined, somewhat like a good person. Like I feel like my dad was like the one that instilled in me that like do the right thing even when no one's watching. So I always find myself trying to do that even as an adult. And it's crazy because I'll have people come talk to me like, yo, like, why are you doing it this way? Like, you don't have to do it that way. I was like, but this is the right way to do it. And so I guess that's been the biggest attribute that I have as a person that I think I get from my dad. I also learned that as an adult, I don't want to be closed off as much as my dad was. Like I want to be able to express my emotions. I want to have those conversations that I felt that I could have had as a kid with my dad. So that's what I learned from my father. And as far as like my biological father, I learned a lot. Like I learned a lot about forgiveness. Like I said, I built that up a lot. It was almost 18 years. Well, it was probably like 13 years. We didn't get to see a whole lot of each other in my whole teenage adulthood. I remember seeing him right before I went to boot camp. and had lunch with him. I didn't know the other guy on the other side of the table. He looked like me, he talked like me, he laughed like me, he did all these things like me, but I didn't know who he was. I ended up getting hurt in the Marines, and I happened to go out to Oregon and got to meet up with him. And then that's when I met my brothers and my sister, and just hanging out with him and seeing the things that he was doing. I was like he doesn't even have to say anything to me, and just by his actions, like, I know he's my dad. And so yeah, it taught me a lot about forgiveness. It taught me a lot about responsibilities, and that if I have a responsibility to someone, like, to never put them through that situation just because I don't want to be a part of that situation. Like, relationships are not dependent upon other people. You know what I mean? So my ex-wife, for instance, like, I still maintain a relationship with my father-in-law, mother-in-law. I talk to them. I still talk to them. And I feel that's important, because just because my relationship with my ex-wife didn't work out doesn't mean that this relationship doesn't have to work out. And so I learned that lesson through my dad. I was like, yo, like, just because my situation with mom didn't work out, like, that doesn't mean that our situation didn't have to work out. But it worked out in the end, so it was a lesson for sure.
We're gonna switch gears. Can you tell me about your first love and how that felt?
Man, awkward. It was something like I never felt before. It was weird.
Describe it.
Man, how would I describe that? Like, it was like the air that I was breathing. You know what I mean? Like, I needed that. Like, it was like I wake up and be like, yo, where's Liz at? Like, it was that intense. And so and I was young, like 17 maybe.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but I mean, I loved everything about her. She was beautiful, she was smart, but she got me to church, really. And that's, like, I think what nailed the coffin in right there. Is boom, like, I started going to church. Grew up in the church and I hated it. Like, I grew up Catholic and I didn't like it. And then when we started going out, she started taking me to church and stuff like that. And then I kind of learned about God at that point in a different aspect. Like, it wasn't like you had to be rigid and, like, lock in step or whatever just to love God. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a lot of people that judge you on how you love God. And I never liked that. But I found that, like, the churches that we would go to, like, it wasn't like that. You could be yourself and you can have your own conversations with God, and people were understanding, and so I really appreciated that, and then being around the family, and then just being like one of all of them. You know what I mean? That was pretty cool, especially as a young kid. Like I said, my siblings are too young for me, and she had siblings, so it was like, it was just like it all hit off. Yeah, it was great.
Can you tell me about your first loss or heartbreak and how it felt? The loss or heartbreak can be in any form.
very first, like chronologically, I think I was like 5 or 6 or something like that. And I remember getting all excited because my dad was supposed to come see me. And get all dressed. Mom gets me, she packs a bag, and she's like, "Oh, your dad's coming to come get you. He should be here in like a couple hours or whatever." And I was like, cool. I went to go sit out on the steps for a couple hours. You know what I mean? It's early in the morning. A couple hours roll by. Next thing you know, the sun's setting. My dad still ain't showed up. And I remember at that point, that's when it hit me. It was like, damn. Like, does this guy even want to be part of my life? You know what I mean? So, that's young.
How did it feel emotionally wise?
Empty. Empty. I mean, what is a 5 to 6 year old kid supposed to feel at that point? Like, I'm supposed to be coloring in coloring books and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, playing video games and stuff like that. Not thinking about like why my dad doesn't want to be in my life. And so, yeah, I remember being like truly heartbroken.
Who would you say first taught you love and how?
My mom. I think my mom, from the moment she saw me to the moment she threw a slipper at me, like, that's just the way she loved me, bro. Like I said, no matter what situation I was in, my mom is gonna be loving no matter what. Whether it's being in the back of a cop car or if it's winning a gold medal. Like, my mom's gonna be in my corner showing me that love and support. And so I learned a lot about that through my mom, and I just unconditional love, you know what I mean? Like, she taught me a lot about unconditional love, not love that has what do you call that? Not when you expect stuff from love, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna get it regardless from my mom. Same way she's gonna get it from me regardless. Right. At the end of the day. And so that's intense right there. Like, that's hard to find.
So now, what's love to you? Has it always been that, or has it changed? If not, what was it compared to what you thought love was at a younger age to what it is to you now?
Well, at a younger age, I always thought that like love was just fun and spontaneous and being inseparable and, you know, with whoever, you know. And it's really not. Like, it's not that easy. Like, people change. I was actually thinking about this the other day. I was like, I'm not the same Ralph that I was 10 years ago, sure. Let alone 5 years ago, let alone 2 years ago. Like, I'm just constantly updating. Like, update software. And I'm only updating because I'm learning. So the more that I learn, the more information I can update my software with. And so now I realize that love is like that love that mom gives you.
No condition.
No conditions. And it's hard to find that because everybody always attaches conditions to their love. Oh, well, I'm only going to love you if you can do A, B, and C. If you're lacking in B, now it's just A and C. I'm going to go find B. And that's not how love works.
Can you tell me about a good day in general?
A good day in general?
What's a good day for you?
What is a good day for me? Man, I got like three versions of good days. Like I got an off day, a on day, and I got like a just be alone day. Like a work day, like I like getting into the gym. I like skating.
So we can go quickly through
Yeah,
all three separate
yeah, we could do that.
versions.
Yeah, I like watching hockey.
So one day, this is gonna be one day.
Yeah.
Right here. Okay.
So yeah, so the day one, let's skate 6 in the morning, get done by 8. I'm in the gym by 1, get done by 3, do some cardio at night. And in between all that, you're eating, watching TV, doing whatever you want, relax. And I like that part of my life now that I am in the position that I can do that. On an off day, it's just relaxing, hanging out with my family, hanging out with my dog. Really trying to like relieve all the stressors of life on those days. Like I literally go out of my way to make sure that when I have an off day, like it's an off day. Just like when I vacation, like I just, boom, I don't care about anything at that point. I just have to. And so that's like leads me into the third day where it's like, like, hey, not that the stressors are getting too much or, this is too much or that's too much. It's just like, hey, I just need to slow everything down for a second. I'll go up in the mountains by myself, read a book, not do anything, listen to myself breathe. And that's just as fun for me.
Can you tell me about a bad day and how you push through it?
Ooh. A bad day would be waking up feeling like I haven't done anything. That's a bad day.
Waking up feeling like you haven't done anything else. So
in general, like in life in general, reminiscing on the past too much, that could be a bad day. Losing the will to fight at that point. Like if I like don't want to fight, like I can relax and be cool. But if I should be working and I can't find that will, that breaks my heart. It's like, it's not that hard. Ralph, your mom tries 2 hours. So, that's a bad day. Thinking about friends that I lost is a bad day. But like, other than that, like I've literally been able to put myself in a situation where I have a strong family around me. I have strong friends. I have a strong team, and so I'm not down very long. I pray whenever I feel like I can't go nowhere. That helps a lot. But yeah, like I don't have very many bad days. But when I do, there's always somebody that pulls me out.
What are 2 events that have shaped you, good or bad? And how do you feel when you reflect on them? Could just be one event.
I can't even break it down to just 2 events, man. I don't even know what that word is called, but I'm pretty somebody called me it the other day. When you hold on to stuff, what is that called? Like sentimental, like really sentimental. Like I try to take value away from everything. So to say like 1 event, 2 events that have shaped me, like no, there's hundreds of events that I feel like have shaped me as a person.
Pivotal one.
Pivotal, I mean, like I said, they're all pivotal to me. Like I treat all of them up and down, they're all the same to me. But extremely pivotal was losing my teammate in my hands. Like,
What was his name?
what's that?
The name?
Oh, JP. Yeah, JP Hooling. I've been a Marine for like 10 years now. It's going on my 3rd deployment, and we're supposed to have the time of our life on that. You know, we worked together for a month and some change in Afghanistan. I was having a blast. So many stories. But then went to work one day and had a member of our element turn on us, and he ended up shooting our whole squad up. Like, and it was a matter of 9 dudes sitting on a berm. An Afghan police officer that's supposed to be a police officer is now actually Taliban, and he's opening fire like you don't even know it's coming. And so in that moment when you're in a security pause, you never put your guard down, but you don't expect that to come from the inside. And so that happened, and I remember the shots ringing out, clack, 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 clack. And simultaneously, as soon as the first gunshot ran out, everybody was on that berm, was sliding into the canal. And the only person that didn't make it down the berm was JP, and that was because he was the first person in line of the berm. So he was actually the first person to get shot. I just remember sliding down and seeing this dude that I was like, I know that guy. Why is he shooting at us? Like, it was real life, like so close. I saw the muzzle flashes coming from his barrel, and I'm like trying to process all this in one like milliseconds. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, falling down into the berm, looking up, seeing gunfire, hitting the bottom of the canal, being in water like this high, and then hearing JP scream, I'm hit, out. Like, the rush of emotions from fear to get your shit together to let's get going, like, was in the matter of like milliseconds. Like, I had to experience all that like in a snap. And so I'm trying to pop out of this canal, but like I said, the water's deep and I can't get out. I have all my gear on, so I'm probably like 260, 270 with all my gear on. And he's laying up on top of the berm, and I can hear him talk. And I'm like, yo, I'm gonna come get you, I'm gonna come get you, I'm gonna come get you. Hold on. So I had to run all the way to the other side of the berm, probably like 40, 50 feet until the end. And then I had to climb out of like they had like a little cutout. And I just remember running to him on the berm, looking over the other side of the berm, seeing the dude that had shot JP. He's dead now. He's sitting in the field, face down. I just remember running over to him and like getting down, trying to talk to him. He's like hard breathing, he's bleeding all over the place. I remember taking off all his stuff and like just holes everywhere. And I'm like feeling overwhelmed at that point, because it's like you do this in training, but at the same time, it's like, this is like, it's happening now. This isn't training anymore. And so I just get to work, you know what I mean? I start plugging these holes, try to stop the bleeding as much as I could. He was having labored breathing, so I needle decompressed him to get all that pressure out of his lung. I heard him gasp for breath. That was relieving. I just remember just trying to do everything at once and being talked to it. Like, I felt like I was being talked through it as well. And so the corpsman on our team was actually shot as well. through the bicep. And so that's why he wasn't doing the life-saving steps. It's because he was bleeding out in the canal. And so yeah, like I just remember just working, and like yelling at the guys like, yo, how far is this bird away? How far is this bird? How far is this bird? We need to get him on this bird ASAP. And then like I could just see the color in his face go away. The responsiveness like slowly started withering away. And all of a sudden the bird just comes. We put him on the poncho, rat him out, kiss him, send him on his way. And then I remember just feeling defeated. Like, there ain't no coming back from that. Like someone is actually gone forever. For what? A bad day at work? Yeah, it was pretty rough. But now I'm going to get to the lesson. Because the lesson from that was that could have been me. That could have been me. It could have all been done at that point. And it wasn't me. So, for the things that I think I can't do in life, I look back and I'm like, no, they can't do it. There's no reason why I can. Like, they physically cannot do it. They can't say hi to their family. They can't hug their mother. They can't live their dreams. That could have been me. And it wasn't. So it better not be me doing that. And so that's kind of like helped propel me in bad times. You know, I've lost a lot of friends in combat, and that's always been the way I viewed things. Like, if that was me, like, I would want my friends to live their lives to the fullest, and not to like hold back or be comfortable or be sad for me or use me as an excuse why they can't do things. Like, I never wanted, if that was me, I would never want my friends to do that because of me. And so I took that approach for my friends because I know they would want the same from me. And so I never let it get me down. And when it does, I shouldn't say never, I said when it does get me down, I quickly try to pull myself out of that because I know that they can't pull themselves out of that. So that was pretty pivotal as an adult. Like, you know, that happened to me 7 years ago, and that's last 7 years can shape you when you have that kind of a purpose, when you have that kind of intent, when you go through life with intent to do your best and to do well. Like, those are the two things that are going to happen. You're going to do well, and you're going to be doing your best, and you're going to win at the end of the day. And so, tragic event, but I know that I'm making him proud now with what I'm doing. I look up all the time, and I know that they're all looking down. So, yeah.
What has inspired you, and why?
Life, there's so much. There's so much out there that people don't realize. I've traveled all over the world. You know, I've experienced a lot of things. I've experienced death, my own death. I've experienced someone else's death. I've experienced love. I experienced sadness. I've experienced a lot of things, and I'm still experiencing things at my age. And so, you know, just life in general inspires me because I'm still that kid inside of me. Like, I want to learn. I want to try new things. I don't want to get comfortable with the same thing. Like, that's just not me. Like, I can do the routine, and I know that I can do the routine to get the job done. But there's so much more to life, and that's so inspiring to me that it gives me something to wake up to. You know what I mean? Like, damn, you got that day. Let's go get it done. Like, if that doesn't inspire you, then I don't know what will. You know, and people walk up to me and like, they're like, oh, you're so inspirational, blah, blah. I'm like, yo, I'm just living my life. If you lived your life, you'd be inspirational too. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's very, very basic. That's very basic to me. Like, just the whole purpose of life in general is just like, there's not a whole lot of extra. You got family, you got friends, you got your passions, and that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Because all the other things that you think that matter, they don't. So get inspired by life.
What has been a humbling experience for you? Describe your feelings during that experience.
Man, well, I've been, I'll be the first to say, like, I don't mind being humbled at all. Like, I think it's great. Like, I think sometimes we get ahead of ourselves too much, and we think too much of ourselves, and then you wake up in a hospital bed and you ain't got no legs. You know what I mean? Like, imagine this. Imagine being a Marine for 10 years. Imagine thinking you can walk on water. Imagine that your family loves you, your girlfriend loves you, you got everything in the world, you know what I mean? You got it all together. You got one more deployment, and then you're going to make the transfer. You're going to go Marine Special Operations. And just thinking like, oh, you got it all figured out. Get in the country. You're having fun for a month. Boom, you lose your teammate. Right? You take some time off, gather your thoughts or whatnot, and then they ask you to work again. And in that situation, knowing that JP would want to do the same thing, I was like, well, we gotta go to work. So working again, thinking like it can't get any worse than this. God's gotta look out for me now. And then boom, waking up in a hospital bed. I just remember getting blown up in Afghanistan and flying through the air and thinking to myself, what the fuck? All in slow motion, like, what? As I'm flying through the air, the fuck, as I hit the wall, because I ran into a wall. Got thrown out the wall into a shot hole. I'm probably like 3 feet below the ground because I'm sitting in an explosive hole. I just remember like, I'm hit. 30 seconds later, Doc and my teammate pull me out of this hole, lifeless. Like, I was breathing. I knew they were doing it, but it was literally like they had pulled the doll out of the hole. They dragged me. And I remember trying to like kick up out of the hole, and I couldn't. I was like, what's the deal? Like, so I remember they pulling me off on the X. They start doing their life-saving steps and stuff like that. They start doing, tourniquets and morphine and all that kind of stuff. Cracking jokes, still like, man, you're jacked up, but it's gonna be all right. That adrenaline, everything. And then just, as you slowly see your life start fading away, like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Your vision just like goes in and out, in and out. And this is at night. And just telling yourself, just keep breathing, keep breathing, keep breathing. And then all the thoughts start hitting you. You start thinking about your family. You start thinking about all the good times. I remember thinking about my girlfriend. I remember thinking to myself, no, God, this can't be the way I go out. Not like this. There's so much more that I can do. I just remember saying that over and over and over. It can't be like this. I didn't do everything that I wanted to do in life. Like, you can't do this to me now. I'm still learning. And then I just remember telling myself, just get on the bird, just get on the bird, just get on the bird. And then shortly after, you hear it come in. Dust starts getting kicked up. At this point, I'm like, I don't know what the situation's gonna be. I'm pretty bad off. My arm is all jacked up. I didn't even know my arm was really jacked up until after the fact. But then I remember, in that poncho liner, same thing. All the dudes kissed me, sent me on my way. I just remember looking up and seeing that the Air Force, because the Air Force came and picked me up, the Air Force, their PJ had a chrome visor on. And it was like a moon visor, almost like a moon man. He had his Kevlar on, he had a half visor, half shield. I just remember laying down, and I looked up and I seen the chrome visor, and boom, I was out. It was done. I was like, I made it on the bird. I said what I was gonna do. Let me pass out. And I didn't wake up for like another 5 weeks after that. Stuck in Germany. Developed pneumonia. Everyone thought I was gonna die. Or everyone thought I wasn't gonna make it for sure. En route, there was a couple of times where I died. In Germany, they fly my mom out, they fly my dad out, they fly my auntie out, and they fly my girlfriend out. And the military doesn't fly non-immediate family members out. So they knew something was pretty serious. And then, I don't even remember this, by the way. I don't remember these events happening. This is what was told to me. And then, like I said, five weeks later, I wake up in Washington, D.C., and I have these foam things on my hand. And my family's all around me, and I'm like, damn, like, what's going on? And I look down, and I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. And I just remember thinking to myself, fuck, what now? Like, this ain't a game no more. Like, this is you now. Like, I've lost a lot of friends before. I've had friends get hurt before me. And I've always seen the guys that got hurt before me, like, be able to overcome, and, getting blown up wasn't the worst thing that happened to them in their life. And I just remember like thinking to myself, what now, Ralph? You were this, hot shot EOD tech that had everything going for you. There wasn't anything you could have asked for in life that would have made you happier. And then all of a sudden you wake up in a bed and you don't even know if you're going to walk again. You don't even know who's going to be on your side by the time this is all said and done. So, if that doesn't humble you, I don't know what will. You know what I mean? Like the signs are always there. I mean, you can be humbled in anything. But with God's grace, I'm still here, so.
Go in your mind and think this life event can be mental, physical, or spiritual. I feel like we've talked a lot about actual war, but can you talk about a time in your life that you can relate with the word war in general? It can be in any facet.
Love. Some of the worst times and some of the best times I had were at war. Some of the best times I've ever had in my life and the worst times I've ever had in my life were at war. People say, like, I'll die for you. But when someone actually does, when someone actually dies for you, there is no greater love than that. Period. Some of the best friends that I've ever had, I was sitting right next to, shooting at the enemy. Some of the happiest moments were carrying a 120-pound backpack on my back, walking 5 miles at 2 o'clock in the morning, just being with my guys, just being with my brothers, and suffering through that, and looking at each other, and being like, well, if he ain't quitting, I ain't quitting. Those bonds come like once in a lifetime. Like, you literally have to go to war to experience that kind of stuff. Wherever war is for you.
Can you tell me about a time that you can relate, the same way it can be mental, physical, or spiritual, that you can relate to the word peace?
Surrender. Like, when I surrender to God, like, I know I'm at peace with everything. All the bad that I've done in my life, all the good that I've done in my life. When I just can surrender myself to God, I'm at peace with everything. Life, death, love, hate, all that. Because at the end of the day, I know I'm going to see God. And the only way I do that is by surrendering myself to Him.
Tell me about a truly joyous moment in your life.
Man, there's a lot. There's a lot, but I'm gonna go off with the most recent one. I mean, it's weird, but hearing my niece call me Theo, like, whew, ooh, that made my knees weak. Like I just was like, was standing over in the corner and my niece comes over, Theo, and I'm like, I'm not even really paying attention. Ain't nobody ever called me that. So I'm standing over here and she's like, Theo. And I'm like, I look over and there's a little girl standing right next to me. She puts her hand out. Theo, let's go find the ghost. And I'm like, man, like I melted. Like, seriously, I melted. Like, I could have been the hardest dude in war. And at that moment, I like melted. I was soft. And so, yeah, that was, I love that. That was pretty joyous for me.
What keeps you going every day?
The work's not done. That keeps me going. Like I got so much, like everybody's like, you got an amazing story. And my response is usually, it's not over yet. Yeah. Like, the fact that I got a second chance at life is a gift in itself. Like, and realizing that God is on my side this time is that much more powerful. Because right after I got hurt, I blamed him for it. Had a lot of resentment. I lost my ability to have kids. And that's probably the only thing I ever wanted to do. I just wanted to be a father. But with growth and seeing the big picture, I mean literally seeing the big picture and turning that nightmare into a dream and taking all the negative stuff out of that and putting the positive in and doing all that with God, like it's not over yet. So that's what keeps me going. You know, I got a lot of things that I want to do with my family. I got a lot of, I'm still a dreamer. I'm 36 years old, I'm still dreaming. I want to create a nonprofit to help kids disenfranchised and disabled accomplish their dreams. I recently just wrote down Ralph's 100, and on the list, just like my top 100 things, I would say. So like, I can't cook. My brother knows how to cook. I can't cook. And so like I've been wanting to learn how to cook certain dishes. Swim with sharks. Like I literally want to swim with wild sharks in a cage. Yeah. I want to climb a mountain. I wanted to drive from the coast from Seattle to LA, all along the coast. Yeah. I just knocked that off. My brother told me it was important to write down this shit. It's the only way you remember. So I'm slowly starting to cross these things off. It's pretty rewarding too. On that list, I also told myself to start doing things alone. And you know, I had a buddy, his name's Todd Love. He lost an arm and 2 legs. He was a recon guy. Got injured in 2010. And I remember scrolling through his Facebook feed one day. And I think he just broke up with his girlfriend. And he had said he wanted to go on a trip somewhere. I mean, this guy is badass. He skydives. You've probably seen pictures of him. He does Tough Mudders, climbs mountains, has no legs, like really high up and missing an arm, right? But in this thing, he said, there's so much that I want to do in life. I'm tired of waiting around for people to do it with. I'm going to create these memories on my own. Yeah. And this was a couple years ago. So like I learned that, but it wasn't until now that I realized the importance of implementing that in my life. Because like I said, now that I'm starting to write this 100 out. If I wait for somebody to do those 100 things, they'll never get done. And everybody's like, well, you want to experience memories. You want to experience memories. Well, you're not going to experience it if you want to experience it with someone else. Yeah, that's the goal at the end of the day, but you should also be happy too. And that was probably one of the most rewarding things I've done lately, is just travel by myself and kind of get in tune with myself. But yeah, that 100, that's keeping me going, because it's a level of accountability, man. I mean, it's as simple as that. It literally is. Like, you got a list of 100 things. Just imagine, you fill it out, boom, you knock out all 100, right? You start all over. It's that simple. And like I said, you got different versions of yourself. You got 7 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, what I'm going to be in a month. That list is going to constantly change. And that's what I'm pretty excited about that, because I know that I'm gonna think of a lot of cool things to do. Like on there, I want to learn how to fly a glider plane. Like, I literally want to fly a glider, like in the air. Just all those exciting things. Like, I don't know, adopt a kid is on there. Like, I want to adopt a kid so bad. Win another gold medal. There's a lot of things on there. Spend more time with family. Watch my nieces grow. I have like sayings in there. That list is gonna be good for me.
Imagine you're in the hospital today with only hours to live. It's funny because you've already been there. What would be your regrets? It's just lightly, just. It doesn't have to be deep. It could just be anything.
Not maintaining my relationship with God. Because I think, had I done that, I could have helped out a lot more other relationships. Instead of being so prideful, having it all together, just humbling myself before God, I feel like that could have helped me out in life a whole lot more. And so now I'm just, it's been recently that I get to enjoy those kind of things now. It's actually really relieving. Like, it's love. So I really wish I just never let that go.
So obviously you don't have hours to live, and that would be your regret, is your relationship with God. Do you feel you can change that from this point forward?
For sure. I feel like we're moving in the right direction. It's not like I've never not talked to God, right. But I also feel like now there's more of a serious approach to my actions. How I talk to God now is like, as a kid, like, I want this or I want that and this, that, and the other. Now it's more like, do you have any guidance? Can you give me guidance on this? Like, I'm lost at this, but if you could just show me, and there'll be like something out of the ordinary that I see, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, maybe that wasn't the right thing. And so, like my brother was saying the other day about the omens and the alchemists, yeah. I was like, I've kind of naturally did that my whole life. Like I've always been able to steer away from certain stuff, and that's because I kind of pay attention to the omens. So, but yeah, I think the relationship can definitely get better. Hopefully find a lady that's in love with God as well. So, but yeah.
Your dreams as a kid were to be a firefighter. What are your dreams now?
My dreams now are to keep dreaming and to help others achieve their dreams.
You're the author of your life, but you can end it however which way you want. How does it end? And how do you feel when it ends that way? What's your ideal ending?
What is my ideal ending? You know, I would say I would want to be cliche, like in a hospital, like in a bed with all my family around me, with kids and stuff like that. But that's my family and friends know that's not my personality. Like, if I go out, like I wanted to go out like doing something that I loved, something that was like, of course Ralph's doing that. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be 70 years old, jumping out of an airplane, my canopy doesn't open, splat. Like, the end, bro. That would be the end of the book for me. You know what I mean? Like, I want it to be that abrupt. Like, I don't want the ending of my book. I don't want you to see the end of my book, is what I'm trying to say. I just want it to keep on going and keep on going. So even when I'm old and people think, oh, you should stop working. Like, no, the work still needs to get done. Like, I'm still living this life when I'm 90 years old. And I want everybody that I ever come in contact with to be in love with life just as much. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing that, then those people are going to be around your bed.
That's it.
Boom.
Boom, thank you.
You know?
Did y'all have any questions for him? In general? If you have any question to ask, you can ask him right now.
You don't have to ask. I mean, ask right now.
Learn
Yeah.
to apply for your own life, for the shit y'all are gonna go through. Cause the shit might not be as serious. Probably won't be as serious as what he went through as far as the event, but like, you can go through shit that you're gonna need to get over.
You hit all the serious questions. I guess something less serious. Why'd you choose the Marines?
Straight up, because their uniforms are better. Like, honestly, like, I mean, as a kid, like, they were like, always be like, oh, I didn't, as Cross, I wasn't going to join the military. Like, I didn't think I was going to join the military. I mean,
Nobody ever does.
right? And it was just like 1 second, they were like, oh shit, he's going to boot camp. Like, it was like literally like that. And at that point, like, I was pretty naive about the service. Like, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't like, American flag this or national anthem this. Like, that's just not how you grow up in the ghetto. Like, that's not how it is. And so I just remember, like, not even doing a whole lot of research, but just from what I knew, that the Marines were supposed to be the best, and they had like dope ass uniforms, and they got all the girls. So I was like, I'm going to the Marines. None of that happened, by the way, but you don't get no girls, uniforms trashed, shit's hot. What they don't tell you.
Good. You're ready to go do the quick meeting, and then that's it. The rest we could just chill for the rest of
Nice.
the weekend.
Nice.